What's up, Kinfo? Welcome to Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. You are watching live, and if you are, and you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that for us right now, and like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Did you expect Texas A&M to take LSU to the woodshed in their own house? Like, it's one thing to say that you expect Texas A&M to win. Then you remember this game is at Death Valley, remember, where the opponent's dreams go to die. That's what was supposed to happen here. Number 3, A&M, 7-0, showing up to LSU, where the home team has been winning this one. The last time that the away team won in this particular series, you got to take it back to 2016. But this A&M team ain't like those A&M teams, at least playing LSU this year. They stomped the mud hole in LSU and walked it dry, 49-25. Game got out of hand late in the second half, right? It's just out of hand. Out of nowhere, you're getting to see Marcel Reed is feeling himself. He rushed for 108 yards. He threw for 200 yards. This is the kind of game that you would lead to believe, or would lead you to believe, that he should be in the Heisman Trophy conversation, along with a number of other quarterbacks in this league alone. And then you add into that, Casey Concepcion was great with 3 catches, 45 yards, and you were getting what you needed out of the offense. But more than anything else, Mike Elko's defense continues to just destroy whomever it is that we put in front of them. Each and every time I expect someone to show up and give that defense the what for and the how now, it ain't happened. Like, I picked LSU going into this game, and having picked LSU going into this game, I'm thinking, hey, you're at home. You got the base behind you. It's really tough to play in Death Valley. Not even Brian Kelly can hold you back. And still, that is exactly what happened. It felt like Brian Kelly was all over Death Valley, and not in a good way, because about the middle of the third quarter, you get the fire Kelly chance. You get the Kelly gotta go chance. You get all of these people that have come out to say, we don't really like you anymore, and we're not having any fun. Aside from the dude had a Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels, and got a Jaden Daniels to emerge that we had never seen before, and continues to showcase himself when he's healthy at Washington in the NFL. I watched Jaden Daniels for 4 years at Arizona State. The dude that he was at LSU, he couldn't have been at Arizona State. I mean, we're talking about a man that threw for over 3,900 yards and rushed for over 1,100 yards, won the Heisman Trophy. All to say, Brian Kelly came down here because he could get that kind of player to produce like that. That was the calling card at Notre Dame, at Cincinnati, all the way back. Valdosta State. He can take your talent and he can win. His offense is going to work one way or another. And you thought it was just a matter of time. And we all thought going into this year, you're bringing back Garrett Nussmeier, who could have gone in the NFL draft, was right to return. 4,000-yard passer from a year ago. You added more tools to his toolbox at wide receiver in guys like Nick Anderson and Aaron Anderson and Barrion Brown. And none of these guys really turned out to emerge, right? And guys like Bauer Sharp. Caden Durham has been up and down, and his form has been affected by his health, but it's also the defense that hasn't played well. You got Whit Weeks on the sideline. I understand that, but where the hell has Harold Perkins been? These are all questions that I genuinely had, and these are all questions that I genuinely wanted answers to, and I thought we would get in this game against LSU tonight, and that's just not what happened. 49 points. I mean, last time you're in this kind of a ball game, if you're an LSU fan, it's got to be Ole Miss in the way that went. And you didn't like how that went. And now you're looking at Ole Miss, who looks like a team that can slide in to the SEC championship, if by no other means than you just do what you're supposed to do in a bye week. Get your bye week, and you beat Alabama. You're going to soften this up for LSU, or for Ole Miss. That's not where you wanted to be. You wanted them to be doing this for you. Now you're at 5-2. Excuse me, 5-3. And there's really no way back. Like, you can still get to 9 wins, but you're not going to be playing the SEC championship game like you were a few years ago, when it felt like you were just fodder for a Georgia team that was just going to destroy everybody. That game's 50-20. And now we're at a place where I'm having to tell people, Brian Kelly would fit right in at Oklahoma State. They tight. They like that. Don't ask me why. Just trust me. They like that over there. That's not what I like. That's not what you like, but they like that over there. Meanwhile, LSU fans might be looking at Lane Kiffin. Florida fans might be looking at Lane Kiffin. Auburn fans might be looking at Lane Kiffin and going, hey, homie, how'd you like to bring down that high-flying offense of yours, right? Put one of them quarterbacks behind it. See if we can score some points. Problem with that is you'd also be bringing in a defense coordinator, can't stop nobody. And that is the difference here. A&M can stop people. That is what has defined the SEC over the last 20 years. It's not can you score, it's can you stop people from scoring. If you can do that, you can win championships. Georgia was able to do this. They don't need a 1,000-yard rusher. Hadn't had one since 2019. They don't need a 1,000-yard receiver. Hadn't had one since 2002. They only need their defense and a quarterback that can kind of sort of sling it from time to time, who's got a little moxie to him, right? Got a little backbone. If Jake Fromm can take Georgia to a college football playoff, you damn sure Gunnar Stockton can win a national championship. And all that's because Kirby Smart's defense continues to perform. And now you got what I think is the first great head coach with a defense that can go toe-to-toe with the Georgia defense in the SEC since Nick Saban retired. And it took Mike Elko a little bit. But this is also like Ross Bjork got to be looking at A&M going, see, y'all owe me money now, right? You understand that, right? Because Ross Bjork, who's now the athletic director at Ohio State, not only came up with the largest buyout in history to tell Jimbo Fisher to kick rocks at $76 million after a win against Mississippi State, he also got to hire Mike Elko before he left for Ohio State, where they just won the national championship and looked like repeating. And the team outside of the Big Ten that looks best capable of beating a team like Ohio State is A&M. All things coming back to a dude that graduated from Emporia State, which I genuinely love. I really do. I'm not being facetious about that at all. I love that. Now look at A&M and what they have done. Notre Dame, who is a top 25 team with 2 losses, just to show you the caliber of team that Notre Dame is. They've also beaten this LSU team. And the rest of the way, you're going to beat them, probably going to beat a Missouri team that's going to be playing without Bo Pribula, who didn't break any bones, but took a really tough injury and needed to get air cast and wheelchaired off the field. South Carolina, okay, that's Lenore Sellers in parts, and the parts ain't any good. Samford is a sacrificial lamb in the FCS game of the week. And then you get a Texas team that we still don't know what to do with, who might be bringing their voodoo doll to play with against you, because that's the thing that has saved them against Kentucky, and that's the thing that saved them against Mississippi State. But on the merits, A&M had to stomp them out like they stomped out LSU tonight. That said, we're looking at A&M being 8-0 for the first time since 1992 and on course to play for a conference championship and perhaps win its first conference championship since 1998 when they won a share of the Big 12 championship, and then take it all the way back to the last outright time they won a conference championship, the Southwest Conference, which no longer exists. And we have to talk about A&M being a team that can be capable of winning the national championships for the first time since 1939 in College Station. Whatever statue it is y'all getting ready to build, I hope y'all are building it to that man, Marcel Reed, because his ability to turn into a passer who can run has been the difference. That's what it is. If Marcel, I said this at the start of the season, Marcel Reed learns how to throw the football to other people. No, I mean, not to other people, but to his people, you might have something. And they do, because the defense continues to just be glorious. Like outside of Ohio State and Indiana, it's really been A&M. 25 they gave up, 1 in garbage time to LSU, right? The 42 to Arkansas feels like an aberration. 17 to Florida, 9 to Mississippi State, 10 to Auburn, and then we got that 41-40 to Notre Dame, right? 22 to Utah State, who just got stomped out by New Mexico, and then UTSA has not been anything other than other people's to pillage because they just don't have the money to pay for name, image, and likeness. So all this to say, at the end of the day, the Aggies and the Tide are the only teams left who have not taken a loss in SEC play, and the Aggies are the last undefeated team in the SEC, which is one of the 2 best conferences in college football. But the best team in the SEC can't hold the second best team in the Big Ten's jock. And I'm going to tell you why Indiana would stomp out A&M, walk them dry in just a second here. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you are new to the show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think that Indiana will stomp a mud hole in Texas A&M and walk it dry? Because I do. I really do. I really do. the way that I've seen Indiana play against other teams with numbers next to their names, the way I've seen Indiana not really get tried, save the one time against Iowa, when Phil Parker had the wisest game plan that I think nobody else has been able to execute the way they have. They just blitzed Fernando Mendoza. They said, we're just going to try to hurt you. That's what we're going to try to do. You're going to stand back there and you're going to get these free passes to throw to these wide receivers in man coverage, but we're going to hit you. And he was bloodied at the end, but they got a close win. Outside of that, the only team to beat Indiana, like Indiana has been beating the other teams, has been Ohio State. They took a 10-point loss to Notre Dame last year. Okay? And they got sunned by Ohio State, who won the national championship. Since then, in the Kurt Cignetti era, we're talking about a program that has been nothing short of dominant in the college football sense. It's not that they've just been winning games, it's that they've been destroying people. A&M has been winning games. They have not been destroying people. They destroyed LSU. There's a difference. So I'm looking at this Indiana team, and one of the things that really jumped to me was the 63 they put up on Illinois, who probably will not be ranked after today, but was number 9 at the time. The 10-point defeat they put on Oregon at Autzen, and the way they are absolutely destroying teams that they should. Like UCLA was on a 3-game win streak. People thought it would be, the Cinderella story. Well, Indiana did not invite Cinderella to Bloomington for the ball. They invited her down to get stomped out, 56-6. Insult to injury on this one is Indiana played Kennesaw State this year. Kennesaw State scored 9. UCLA couldn't score more than Kennesaw State. That's where we at. Same UCLA that beat that Penn State team that's out on a 4-loss win streak. Oh, yeah, we're going to get to them here in a little bit. But I think that as I'm pointing this out to you, know that nobody's been able to get on top of other teams quite like Kurt Cignetti's Hoosiers, who are able to play outstanding defense because they can run the ball so well. They'll run for 250, 300 yards, which means the defense is not on the field for all that much. And when they're not on the field for all that much, they make the most of it. Like Bryant Haynes might win the Broyles Award if Kurt Cignetti nominates him, because right now he's top of the list for me. The best defensive coordinator in the country, not named Matt Patricia. And Matt Patricia got a whole deck of outstanding Buckeyes to play with. And we saw what this team was capable of last year, and they're doing something similar this year. Meanwhile, Brian Haynes is just getting dudes out the portal and turning them into monsters and a monster unit. They have allowed all 8 opponents to score. Nobody. So let me put it this another way. 6 out of 8 opponents that they played so far this year has scored 15 points or fewer. They haven't allowed anybody to score more than 20 in a game. I tend to think they got a little something, a little new for Marcel Reed and A&M, if it ever gets to that. And that's the other reason why I think people love the college football playoff and hate it. Because right now, we would like nothing more than to see Indiana and A&M play, or A&M and Ohio State play, or Alabama, Indiana. We'd like to see that right now. We got a really good bead on who we think is legitimately good, right? We know that we also got to put in Memphis, who got the win against South Florida today, probably the best G6 team in college football. If Navy doesn't go undefeated, it would be Navy. But we don't expect Navy or Memphis to win the national championship. However, they deserve a shot. Now, if Indiana, Ohio State, A&M, Alabama, to use those 4 teams at the top, as we might see it, can't get past Memphis, can't get past, let's call it Louisville or Virginia or Georgia Tech, then they don't deserve to play for a national championship as far as I'm concerned. You got to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, and you're supposed to beat them going away. But if we're judging it based on what we've seen with our eyes and what we've seen with the schedule and what we know about talent, I don't think A&M can stay with Indiana. I think it would be over in a quick, fast, and in a hurry. I think that Marcel Reed would get baited into doing this or doing that, running around with the football, take a hit or take 2. I mean, you're already down Le'Veon Moss, right? I get that Ruben Owens is good. I get that Casey Concepcion is good, Mario Craver, so forth, so on. But if the defense loses even a small step, you might have a really tough time getting back on this Indiana team that can throw it as well as they run it, whose offensive line is sound as hell, and whose defensive line can get home. Like Aiden Fisher had a pick six that came out of nowhere against Nico Iamaleava. I get that it's Iamaleava, but you understand my point here. And now that we're getting into the final third of the season and the cream truly is rising to the top, if I look at my top 25, man, I mean, it's pretty wild to see Ohio State and Indiana at 1 and 2, A&M at 3, probably have Alabama at 4, even though it's a close win against South Carolina. Oregon, who needed Brock Thomas to come off the bench because Dante Moore took a savage hit where he was like bleeding from his nose and was knocked out of the game. Hope he's all right and come back. Georgia was idle. Ole Miss got a great win on the road against Oklahoma, 34-16. Vanderbilt survives Missouri, which is huge. Now, Bo Pribula got knocked out of that game, but the point is, and SEC officiating showed up because SEC officiating is garbage and they just refused to fix it. Like, I was like, you want to make your jokes, but sometimes the jokes feel just too close to home. Like, how many clinics you think these SEC officials got to go to before they can be, SEC officials? Just thought. Tennessee stomping out Kentucky. BYU, one of 2 teams in FBS to begin 2024 and 2025 undefeated, like 8-0, to get to 8-0 to start. Not bad, right? That's the top of the Big 12. Might be the only team in the Big 12 that gets in. Louisville feels like the 12 spot. 13 is kind of in Miami there because Louisville beat Miami. Notre Dame is idle this week. Texas continued to survive. Again, whatever spell has been cast over Texas in the third, fourth quarter overtime, you better go see the Etsy witch because she working overtime for you. Better tip her well. Oklahoma falls at 17 for me. We'll see where they are in the AP. Texas Tech stomps out an Oklahoma State team that ain't beat an FBS opponent since September 14, 2024. And that FBS opponent was Tulsa. Damn. Memphis at 19 for me. Washington at 20. Cincinnati 2021. Yep, at 21. Excuse me. At 21, not 20. And then we got, what we got? Michigan 22. Beating up on little brother like they do. LSU's probably going to get knocked out of this thing altogether. Virginia probably slides into that 23 spot. Houston at that 24 spot after the win against Arizona State, if they hold on to win. When I last checked, they were up by 7 after being up 24-0 in the start of the fourth quarter. We'll see, right? That's mostly how I see it. But there's still room here for a few teams to make some surprise runs here. I think 10 wins in the SEC is going to get you into the playoff. That'll probably be the 4th team in, and that might cap it there. You might get a 4th team in from the Big Ten, maybe, but it would have to probably be an Oregon team that just runs the rest of the table with the one loss to Indiana, who doesn't make the Big Ten championship game, kind of like Indiana last year when it was Penn State and Oregon in the Big Ten championship. I think that we're probably going to limit the ACC teams this year to maybe just one. I mean, Georgia Tech's undefeated, but do we believe that Georgia Tech and whoever they play both need to get in? Well, it depends, right? So if it's Virginia and Virginia beats Georgia Tech and Georgia Tech's undefeated, Virginia's got one loss, might end up with another SMU Clemson situation from last year, which would knock out one of the other teams from, I think, the Power 4 conferences. These are all interesting things to start taking apart now. And as we get closer to November, they're going to become much more ironclad, much more concrete, much more immovable, and tiebreakers are going to start to come into play. But what I learned this weekend when we had Ohio State, Georgia, Notre Dame all idle is we can still see a few teams that we believe can challenge. We believe they can challenge. But it's still the same as it was when we entered this week. It's Ohio State being great. It's Indiana being great. It's Georgia being a team that has earned the right to say, nah, we can win a national championship with this. We can do that. It's Bama going, maybe we figured some things out. And it's Ole Miss. Find out if they're this good. Like, the schedule is set up for them to go 11-1. Whether they make the SEC championship game or not, they probably get into the playoff with that schedule, given what they have done in the loss being to Georgia, right? We'll see. We come back. I want to do an early look at a Big Ten matchup that I think still rates, but certainly not like it rated at the start of the season. My goodness. Ugh. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think that Penn State can cover the spread against the number 1 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes when the Nittany Lions got to come to Ohio Stadium on Saturday? My goodness, guys. Like this game might get violent, and not in a good way, because it was already going to be hard for Penn State to win this game, even if they were undefeated, given their history with James Franklin as their head coach, against Michigan, against Ohio State, against top 10 opponents, against top 15 opponents, against number 1 ranked teams. And now they ain't got none of that. And since firing James Franklin, it ain't got better. As a matter of fact, Penn State has lost its last 4 in a row, including the debut for interim Terry Smith, who found a way to lose to Iowa despite having a lead at halftime. They lost 25-24, and that felt like a winnable game for them. Mark Gronowski was not great in that game. 130 yards rushing, 2 TDs. Caden Wetjen had the go-ahead TD against them. But it's a Penn State team that has frankly lost its way. It lost its head coach. It lost its starting quarterback. It's a running team now. That's what it's got to be. It's got to be a team where the running backs carrying the load, the defense is trying to play that sort of defense. It's just really difficult to do that against an Ohio State team that is not just good, but good on both sides of the ball. It's also really interesting footing for Penn State, who has not lost 5 in a row since 2020, when they opened the season with 5 consecutive losses, and we all mostly threw out 2020 for most teams. Didn't throw it out for Ohio State, didn't throw it out for the 2020 Alabama team that won the national championships. Matter of fact, when we got to the conference championship games and the college football playoff, it was great. It's great football. But teams like Michigan and Penn State would like to refer to 2020 as something like a lost season. But we're also threatening to do something else with this Penn State team. Penn State has not lost 7 games in a row since the 1930s. And if you look at the schedule, it's not out of the realm of possibility, because this would be a 5th against Ohio State. We're also looking at a Penn State team that is tied for the longest losing streak for a team that was ranked at AP number 2 or better to start the season. The previous team to have 5 consecutive losses after being ranked preseason AP number 2 or number 1 was number 1 Iowa in 1961, who lost 4 in a row after starting the season 4-0. It can happen. It can happen. And as I look at this game and I look at what is at stake for the Buckeyes, one of the things that I wonder is the over going to hit? I think so. Are they going to cover the spread? Probably. Whatever it might be. If you feel the same, you might go check it out at MyBookie, see what the spread is, see what the player props are, and then when the game is on, see what the in-game line is. And if you do, use the promo code RJ Young. That's all one word, all capital letters, my name, and you get your first $500 covered, right? Up to $500 covered on your first bets, meaning that if you play and you miss, you use your bet back bonus token, they let you play again. Although, if you look at Ohio State and you look at Penn State and you're really concerned about this one, I would question whether or not you watch a lot of college football. I mean, just full stop. Are you a casual here? Because casuals don't really like this show. It's not really for them. They watch another kind of college football show. But if you've been paying attention to the sport, you know better than anybody else. Yeah, all right. It might be a bloodbath. I mean, we're talking about Julian Sand, who could be up for the Heisman Trophy, and for me, is the front runner to win it. There are a lot of guys that should be considered, but I don't see anybody else playing better than him. And one of the other things I also listen to is when other players on your team say you're the Heisman Trophy winner, like Carnell Tate does about Julian Sand, I tend to believe them. It's a dude that's completing 80% of his passes. He's thrown for 267 yards a game. He's thrown 19 TDs to 3 INTs. They have a freshman. They have an underclassman in Bo Jackson as their leading rusher. And that's not to say that James Peoples or CJ Donaldson are bad. They're not. Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are 2 of the best wide receivers in the country. They happen to play on the same team. You could make an argument that 5 of the best players, in college football all play at Ohio State. Arvell Reese, who makes Caleb Downs look like an ant, but Caleb Downs, who might be the best player in college football, if not the second best player in college football. And then there's Sand, and then there are the two wide receivers. See how I got to 5 so quickly? That's what coming at Penn State. That's what they got to play against. At 3-4, my God. Just when you didn't think it could get any worse, if you're a Penn State fan, you're just going to have to grin and bear this season, and you're going to have to take whatever's coming. Because not just you got Ohio State. You got Indiana right after Ohio State. You play number 1 and number 2 in back-to-back weeks with no bye week. This is your bye week. Golly, man. Do you realize that it's not out of the realm of possibility that Penn State doesn't score another point until November 15th? That would be basically a full month, because if Ohio State wanted to hold them scoreless, it feels like they could. If Indiana wanted to hold them scoreless, it feels like they could. If both of them want to put up 50, it feels like they could. They could lose these games 100-0. In which case, you still have to identify the next head coach to be at Penn State, and you still have to try to find the talent you're inevitably going to lose, and you're going to have to find the money to pay them. It's just not fun right now. It's not fun to be a Nittany Lion. I understand. But again, I just don't expect to see it get any better. Not right now, dog. Not when you're giving up 19 points a game and Ohio State's giving up 5.3. Not when you can't throw the football, and when anybody can guess that you're running the football and they can still stop you. It's just, I can't come up with a recipe for you to win. I can't. The recipe for you to win, I say that. I can't come up with a recipe for you to win. What it is catastrophic failure on the part of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and I don't see that in the offing. Because Ohio State hates Penn State like A&M hates LSU, and vice versa, right? It's earned. It's earned. It ain't a rivalry per se, but it's a rivalry if you're paying attention, because Ohio State fans really, 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 really love to beat up on Penn State. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. One is James Franklin made it even easier for people to like Penn State if you're at Ohio State. Number 2 is, remember Penn State was an independent until like 1990, and they've still been operating like an independent. And Ohio State is dyed in the wool. We're one of the 4 founding members of this conference in the 19th century, and we allow you to be here, and this is how you treat us. Show some respect is probably going to be written across their helmets forever in invisible ink. That's just what it is. And Penn State's like, respect who? It's like, respect 8 national championships, folks. Like, you ain't won no national championships in 1986. What are we talking about here? What you got? What you got, Larry? Kajana? Kerry Collins? Trace McSorley? No, I mean, it's Saquon and it's Micah. I get all that. But you get my point, right? You know, I can point to Puzlesny. I can point to LeVar Arrington. I can point to some great players that come out of Penn State. I don't mean it like that. I mean it to say that's what Ohio State be saying. They don't care. Not none of that. They love to beat up on you. They love to beat up on you. They love to beat up on you. In that way, I hope y'all come to play. I sincerely hope y'all come to play. Because if you can make a game of this for the first half, you make a game of this going into the third quarter, perhaps you put a little bit of dirt on that sheen, on that shine that is the Buckeyes, who feel like they're going to go back to back. Feel like the best team repeatedly. Just who's going to beat them? Like, we want to see this Indiana matchup, and we're hoping that neither team slips, because that feels like it would be a good game. And Indiana knows that Ohio State is that team, right? They're not scared of anybody else. They're really not. I don't think they're scared of any team in the SEC. I think they know they're better than the best team in the SEC. I also think that they know that Ohio State just built different. And Ohio State should take every opportunity to try to make themselves into an even bigger boogeyman with that game, feeling like it is inevitable come December, and we'll decide who gets the number 1 seed. But we're also, remember, number 1 seed ain't all it was cracked up to be. And then we changed it to 12 straight seeding. So maybe it doesn't look as lopsided as it did when the Buckeyes were able to host a home game and then win the next 4. That's what it is. All right. That is going to do it for this episode of Adapt and Respond. If you like the show, let me know in the comments below. and I'll see you on the flip side. Doses.